The shakeup at Kansas City, Missouri City Hall is finally starting to settle down. New city manager is now a month into his new role. The city council promoted Mario Vasquez, the director of city planning and development, to the post. He now oversees a $2.5 billion budget and nearly 5,000 workers. This move came a little more than a month after the city council unanimously fired Brian Platt amid controversy about transparency and a lost lawsuit to the tune of $1.4 million.
And I think it goes to show the magnitude of concerns and in many ways the breaking of confidence from all of us.
A former communications manager who won the suit said Platt told staffers to lie to the media and by extension the public. The mayor told me last month the city will launch an official audit of how staffers communicate with the public. Stay tuned. Mario Vasquez is a longtime city employee who started in 1997 as a city planner. He served in several roles at City Hall, including assistant city manager and director of planning and development, as we said. City leaders praised him for his collaborative approach and understanding of the city's housing, infrastructure, and development challenges. He tells us he's ready to work.
A lot of what we need to do in the city is reinvest in our existing neighborhoods and residences. And I don't think we've done enough of that. And so I'm going to see if I can find ways to accomplish that objective.
He also told the crowd at a neighborhood meeting last month he wants to be approachable and wants people to know that they can call on him when they need something. We've called on Mr. Vasquez to be here today for Heart of the Matter. We appreciate you joining us. What a busy time for you right now. A month in, how are you settling into your new role?
Well, it's been a lot going on in the first few weeks. One of the positive aspects for me, though, is that I have been with the organization for quite a while. I don't have to spend too much time, finding where everything is. I know who to call, but it's still, there's been a lot of calls, a lot of demands on my time, a lot of things that need attention, and I'm learning a lot of things that I was maybe peripherally aware of, but now I have to have a better knowledge of. So it's been a lot of work.
Like what? What's the main thing that you're learning on?
One of the biggest things for me has been just the level of engagement that we have to have with it as it relates to public safety. Actually, I'm going on a ride along tonight with the police department to monitor the situation with the ATVs and all that. Just get a feel for the hard work that our staff puts in to try to make sure that our community is safe.
Mm-hmm. You've been talking to community members about being transparent, and so much of what happened with your predecessor, Brian Platt, hinged on transparency and accountability, especially with the accusations of him telling staffers to lie to the media. We talked to Mayor Lucas a bit about that earlier a few weeks ago. Here's what he said when we asked him about those issues at City Hall.
This is something that isn't just one policy, it isn't just one person. It's something you have to practice every day, and I hope that our next manager makes clear to everyone in the institution that's something that's going to be expected.
Now, we mentioned the city audit that the mayor is calling for. What would you do to help mend fences when it comes to transparency and really trying to improve that relationship? Because we heard the mayor say when Mr. Platt was fired that there was kind of a stain on the culture at City Hall.
Yeah. Well, I think you just kind of said the right word, which is culture. I think we need to be thinking about what is the culture that we want to drive from staff in the organization. My personal philosophy is, I want to drive a culture of, hard work and dedication. Obviously, integrity and transparency are key elements of culture as well. But how do we drive culture? And that's the sort of that's how I'm examining things right now, and it isn't just words, but it's also demonstrating day to day how we relate to folks and how we solve problems, how we provide information to the public. Being open and open to criticism, open to celebrate the success. Openness is a big part of that too. So, but driving culture again is a constant thing, like the mayor said. It isn't just a one-time thing. It's a constant thing, and that's what I intend to do.
And you're encouraging people to reach out to your office if they have issues, right?
Yeah. Not only that, but also become aware of what is maybe not something that is against the principle of transparency. Some people have lost maybe sight of what that might be, so understanding what that is, what transparency means. How they can act freely within their authority. Those are the things that I will push with my team.
What are your priorities? What would you like to hit the ground running doing at City Hall?
Well, right in front of me, of course, is the World Cup, being prepared for 2026. We need to be ready. I've had a lot of conversations with my internal team already about where we are with respect to public safety, with respect to transportation, with respect to lodging, other issues that are of concern. We do have some big projects on the horizon or some things that are kicking off. We are doing quite a bit of work throughout the city on development, and we want to get those things buttoned up by the World Cup as best we can.
As far as housing, that sort of thing?
Housing, not just housing, but just we got hotels. I think we're breaking ground on a garage in the 18th and Vine District in a few days. We want to get that done by World Cup. We got some beautification projects I need to get done, and we're kicking off a lot of those right now. And the aim is to get them completed by World Cup.
Just trying to check those boxes off
Right.
Before that comes to town, I'm sure. Yeah.
Right, and especially in our entertainment districts, like the Waldo area, we have been working on Warnold Road for quite a while. We're going to wrap up soon, and by soon I mean I think later this fall. But it is a tough project. But I think when it's done, the entire area is going to benefit from better traffic flow, better traffic road conditions, and easier access to the businesses that line that corridor. And the same is true for elsewhere throughout the city where we have projects going on. So.
We'll be checking in if that's okay throughout
Absolutely.
your tenure. Mario Vasquez, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
KMBC 9 News and Heart of the Matter are keeping a close eye on city business. You can look for updates on air and online at KMBC.com.